What's up, Notjust developers? Welcome back to a new live stream. Today, we are continuing the DEVember marathon of React Native tutorials. Today is day 15, and we are going to build the ultimate to-do application. I'm not sure if we ever created a to-do list application in React Native. This is kind of the first or the hello world application that you would build. But I think it's a great application to learn a lot about managing the user interface and managing data. Here in today's video, we're gonna first build and design the basic features of a to-do list application, but we're gonna have some specific features like grouping, searching, maybe filtering, maybe showing tasks for today. So we're gonna have a lot to do a lot of work on the data itself. For that, we're gonna use mostly state inside React Native components. Maybe we're gonna also cover the React context to manage all the data globally. But I plan in next videos to dive deeper into global state management libraries based on the user interface that we're gonna build today. So this is a starting point for a lot of other tutorials that we're gonna do throughout this series, where we will learn more about global state management. And let me know in the comments below what global state management library would you like to learn, and maybe we're gonna pick that one to teach during DEVember. So a couple of words about DEVember. We are doing daily tutorials here on YouTube, so everything happens on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the channel not to miss future tutorials like this. If you have ideas, make sure to submit them to our idea board. This idea actually was from there. DEVember is not just about learning, it's also about giving back, because during DEVember we are organizing a fundraiser called Education for Children. During this, we are supporting the efforts of Save the Children organization in providing accessible education to children worldwide. If you'd like to donate to this organization, make sure to find the donate pop-up here on YouTube. And we have also some incentives to save as a thank you note for your donations. I'd like to say a big thank you to Rogelio, Stuart, Sagar, Vale, Travis, and others who already donated. For every 1,000 subscribers during December, we're also going to donate $100. So simply by clicking the subscribe button, you will contribute. Anyway, let's get started. Let's see where the starting point. Hello, everyone in the live chat. Rogelio, how are you doing? Here is the application in where we will do all our work, but we're gonna start like from scratch. And I'm gonna also give you the source code for it. You'll find the source code of the starting of this project in the description below. It's called DEVember, and here is all the source code for previous projects that we have done, and I'm keeping a branch for every single day. So after you clone this repository by copying the URL and then cloning it on your system, all you have to do is switch to the branch called day 15 start, and we're gonna have the same starting point as me. Then install the dependencies with npm install and run on a device using npx expo run iOS or run Android. Here I have an application. If we go to day 15, at the moment it will not have any page there. Let's go ahead and start by setting up the page, because we are using expo. Sorry, didn't switch the code view. Because we are using Expo router, all our screens will be inside our app directory, and here we have a group of all the days. Let's go ahead and create a new folder inside this called day 15, and simply copy the index file from day 14 inside our folder, and simply let's do to-do app. Now let's also change the name to 15 to do. And I'm going to, when pressing on that button, I'm going to navigate to the to-do application. And in order to have this page inside our day 15 folder, I'm going to create, let's create actually a new folder as a to-do, because maybe we will also need like some layout. So we are going to consider the folder to-do as a separate application. So an application needs the index.tsx for the home screen of our to-do application. Let's say to-do screen. And when we navigate to day15/to-do, it's gonna go in this directory and it will take the index file. Now I'm going to reload the application. Hello, Subramanian. How are you doing? And if I will go to day 15, we see the index of day 15 with a little bit details about what we're gonna do. And now we can press on this button, go to to-do application, and here we are in the to-do index file. From now on, we're gonna work mostly in this file. Maybe we're also going to need the a folder for our components that we will reuse. So let's go ahead and inside our components folder, create a new directory called day15. And here we're going to create, if we're gonna need any custom components, most probably we will. All right, so here we have a to-do screen. Should we start with changing the stack.screen? Either I want to hide completely the header on that page, or I simply have to change the title. So options, title, to do. So if I go to 15, go here, okay, at least we have a better title. All right. So we have a structure of our application. Now it's going to be, we're gonna start working on the user interface. When it comes to the design, I don't have anything specific in mind. I was browsing Dribble and I found some design inspirations that might help us today. And let's see what I like from different designs. For example, from this one, I like the minimalist look of the tasks. It's simply a text with a checkbox, and I think it looks similar to Notion. It has something like Notion. From this one, I don't know, but from the last one, I really like how everything is split up in different projects, and the project have this nice progress bar that we can easily create ourselves. So let's start by being able to add tasks, being able to read tasks, manage them, set them as complete. After that, we're gonna slowly add different configurations, like being able to group them by projects, checking the project statuses, and so on. So as I said, let's go ahead and also define a style sheet. We will definitely need that style sheet. Let's create it here. Style sheet.create. And I don't know, maybe we're gonna start with a page, then we'll see what else we will need. Styles.page. Okay. What do we need? Well, of course, we need a list of tasks. First of all, we need a list of tasks. And for every task, we're going to render a line with a checkbox and a title. The list of tasks, we are going to handle that at this moment through a state variable. So let's go ahead and even start with tasks. Set tasks is equal to use state, and initially it's an empty array. Use state. The use state we're going to import from React like this. Now when we day 15. Now let's go ahead and also add some dummy tasks, which is going to be an array of multiple tasks. Let's give them all. Should we give it an ID? I don't know. Let's just give it a text or title. And I'm going to to create like the task for today maybe. So first of all, set up day 15 structure, and there will be completed or status. Should we have a status here or a boolean? Is finished. True. Then we're gonna have another task for render a list of tasks is finished. It's not finished yet. Let's do false. What other task we're gonna have today? Add a new task. Then change the status of a task, and we're gonna see like later. Maybe we're gonna also have maybe to separate them in two tabs, separate into tabs, to do and complete. Okay, so now that we have a list of dummy tasks, let's initialize our state variable with these dummy tasks. Now, the tasks here will be a list of tasks. What we can do is we will have to loop through all of them and render them their title on the screen. We can do that with a simple map, but we can also do that with a flat list. And I'm thinking if there is a better option like one over another, I think we can go with a flat list from React Native. We're gonna have render item, and also we're gonna have to pass an array of data to the flat list. Our array of data will be tasks. That in fact initially will be this array, and in render item we need to provide a function that will receive an object with information about the item that it tries to render, and we need to say like how do we want to render it. If we simply say a text with item.title, we should see a list of titles here. Perfect. Let me go ahead and you know what? I'm not even gonna create a separate component yet because the component that we have to render here is so simple. Let's continue defining it here. Besides the text, we will also have like a checkbox. So that means that we are going to have to put them inside a view, like inside a container, so that we have a view and the text after. And if I press save, it's gonna format it to be easier to understand. For the style, let's give it a styles.task container, and here styles.task title. Let's go ahead and give them some styles here, and task title. First of all, the page should have some kind of padding. Padding, even 15 will be okay, to have some spacing around. I'm not sure where to put background color white. Maybe I will put it on the whole page, white. And to extend the whole screen width, it's gonna need a flex 1. Perfect. Now the task container, I can add here to the task container padding 10 in order to separate them. But I think besides the padding, no, it will actually need a padding anyway, because if, for example, we want a border with 1 and border color gray, we would need like that padding inside. But at the same time, we need some space between them. Yes, we can do here with margin vertical 5, but with having to separate items with margin inside the item container is a bit weird, because there will be 5 pixels at the top, 5 pixels from the bottom item. So it's always more harder to do that through the using margin. A better way would be to use a gap property that was recently introduced in React Native. And to do that, we're going to assign to the flat list a content container style is a container that wraps all the content. And we can give there a gap of 5, and it will add exactly 5 pixels between all the items and will not add anything at the top or the bottom, only between them. So I think even 10 would be cool. Perfect. For the title, we're gonna go with changing the font family to Inter Semi. Font size, should I increase it to 16? I don't know, it looks so good for them, but my case, I will leave a font. Maybe I'll have to decrease a bit the color. And the color, I don't know, should I pick something from here? So now Inter Semi. Will it look better? Maybe. Okay. I don't think we'll need any kind of borders. I think the borders adds a lot of, it's too heavy on the UI. Borders were useful only to see like spacing and sizes. All right, so we have a list of tasks here. Maybe the gap between them should be smaller, perfect. And we will also need a checkbox. You could find some libraries to use to render a checkbox, but I don't think it's anything complicated, so we can achieve that by ourselves by rendering like a view with an icon inside it if it's checked. Or maybe we can look at the expo vector icons, and maybe we can find like a check box. We can have checkbox blank and checkbox marked. So let's try this one, material community icons, checkbox mark circle outline and checkbox blank circle outline. Let's try this one to see how it looks. I will import it at the top and let's render it like this. Side here, above the text, we're gonna have the checkbox marked. It's gonna also have some kind of a dim gray color. And the name is going to depend whether we completed the task or not. So every task has this is finished. Checkbox marked. So we're gonna check if item.is finished. Then we're gonna do marked. Otherwise, we're going to do blank, right? Blank. Yep. Now inside this task container, we want to put the text and the checkbox in the same line. So for the task container, we can simply do flex direction row, and that will put them in the same row. If I would add a gap here, it will add space between items, and our items is a text and an icon. So that's exactly what I want. With a gap at 10, it will add it there. And we will also have to align them vertically. It's not very visible, but if I increase here the size of this icon, you're gonna see that the text and the icons are not on the same horizontal line. We can do that using align items center, and that will put them, both icon and text, on the same line. And I can go back here to 24. Maybe gap 10 is too much. 5? I don't know, 10. It's okay. Another thing is that if for the title we can do there is a text decoration. Text decoration line through. Yes, and we can do this only for the items that are already completed. Text decoration line through. So I'm gonna take it out from here because we need to do it conditionally. And for the text here, I'm gonna put the existing styles in an array and provide an additional style here, style object with text decoration, and it's going to be conditional. If it's finished, it's gonna be line through. Otherwise, it's gonna be none. So as you can see, if the task is finished, it's indeed set here as it has a line through. Okay, perfect. What now? The next task is to render a list of tasks. I completed this, so I would like to press on this one and change the status of it. So how do we do that? We need to, first of all, handle press events on our tasks. Our task in the flat list is rendered here inside the view. It has the checkbox and the title. I'm going to transform this view into a pressable because I want to handle press events on the whole container of an item. Make sure that the closing one is also pressable. The pressable is imported from React Native, and now I can do on press. Let's have a function here, or maybe let's call a function on item pressed. On item pressed, it will console warn pressed. Let's go to the day 15 and press on one of these items. We see that it's pressed. Now we need to know some information about that item in order to update it in the state. All the state updates should happen by calling the set tasks array. So we need to find the exact property in the array, and then update is finished. What we can do, an easy way would be to, in the render item, besides the item, we can also get the index. So when we call the onItemPress, I will have to expand this to an arrow function, and then calling the onItemPressed, I can send the index there. I can send the index of item that we currently pressed. Now we can, index is a number. Now we're gonna need to access the tasks, change the value of one of the items, and then update it back in the set tasks. To do that, what we're gonna have to do, we're going to call the set tasks because we need to update it. To update the state, we can either give here a value, for example, an array, and this is great when we want to replace or override existing state. When we want to update, instead of sending a value here, we are going to send an update function that will be called with existing tasks, current tasks. Now, in this update function, we need to do something with the current tasks and then return them. So what I can do is I can do current tasks at position index dot is finished equal to the opposite value of that. Then I can simply do return current tasks. Not sure if it's good to update the current task or we need to create a copy of them, but let's have a look. If I press on one of them, nothing happens, right? Console log current tasks. Oh no, it happened. But it doesn't update the state because we are updating what is already there in the current tasks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of the current tasks and store it into updated tasks equal. Simply create a new array and destructure the current tasks there. Now we can work with an updated task and it should now work in real time. Previously, it was working, it was updating, but the UI was not re-rendering because we were simply changing some values of existing items. Now that we are creating a new array, when we update it by duplicating it first and after that changing a value, we are properly changing it. And we can press and it updates. Nice. Perfect. Now the next step is to add a new task, right? So how we're gonna add a new task? Well, I think that at the end of the flat list, or maybe at the top of a flat list, we're gonna have, I think I would like to have them at the bottom somehow, or as the last item. How is the, let's see. Okay, so at the bottom, I'm going to add a text box where the user will be able to create and add new tasks. Let's check how we can do that. First of all, we're going to need a text input from React Native. Text input. The text input will come after the flat list, but we want this input to also be scrollable with the components. So for that reason, after render item, I'm going in the flat list, I'm going to add here a footer or list footer component. List footer component you can pass to a flat list this property list footer component and render a component that will be rendered after all our items. So if here I'm going to render a text input, a text input and maybe also an icon to have the same styles. It's not going to be finished, so it's going to have only one value, blank, because it's a new task. Let's do it like this. Maybe it should not even be dim gray, but gray. Let's go to day 15, go to. Now we see it there. But the view that contains them, I think I will use the same style as here, task container. A simple view with style tasks container. Yes, now I should have a text box there that I cannot write into. But if I will put a placeholder there, hello, we should see that. And I can start typing. Okay, let's give it a style to this text input. Input. And the input, I want to have the same text size, font family, color. I want to have everything the same as the proper task. So So now when I write something, okay. There's something weird happening there, but I don't know what. So input, if I do a background color red, let me make the input full width. So let me do it with a flex one. Now it's going to be full width, and I think the issue there was the parent component having to resize. Now I think it's much smoother. Yes, I believe so. And that means that the task title will also have a flex one here. And even now I'm not sure like why they are not in the same line. Background color red. Not for the title, but for the container. Are they in the same horizontal line? All of them? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Maybe it should have the same color, and that's why I'm tripping. But anyway, we have a text input at the bottom. We can add stuff here. And when we press enter, I would like to save this in the list of tasks that we have there. How do we do that? First of all, we need to keep track of the title of a new task. So new task, set new task, use state. It's going to be initially empty string. Now we need to bind that state variable to this text input. We're going to do that by sending a value here from the state new task, and on change text, we're going to send the setter of this state so that when the user types something, it will update the state and it will eventually update what we see in the input. So now I can write stuff here. For some reason, the component loses. Yeah, but for some reason, the component loses focus. So I write something, it updates, and so on. And that's because we are triggering an update to the to-do screen. To a state from the to-do screen. When that is happening, the whole thing is re-rendering. The whole return statement is being called. And because we have here the list footer component as a separate component like this, it always recreates it. And when it recreates, the text input loses the focus. I'm not sure if autofocus will solve that issue, but yeah, it does. Yeah, autofocus solves that issue. Okay, but later on, when we are going to extract this to a separate component, it's going to make more sense. And we're not going to have this issue. Anyway, text input. Okay. I want to save this task when we press enter. So there is a callback function on and editing that if we hover, callback that is called when the text input ends. Let's do here console warn and or let's do add task new task. So now if I will write something and then press enter, we see add task and this one. So that means that this on-end editing is called exactly when we want it, and we can take the current value of a new task and add it in state together with a list of existing tasks. It's not that hard to do. We simply have to call the setter set tasks. And here we're gonna work with the current tasks. And what I want to do is I want to attach them, or no, I want to create a new array with current tasks and add a new one to that array. The new one will have a title, new task, and the is finished with false. So let's see that in action. So we can update and change this one. New, let's do new to do, enter. And as you can see, it's being guided there, and I can handle like the complete it or not. Another thing that should happen here is we need to set new task with empty string. We want to reset the ¿Qué pasa? Set new task with empty string. Well, yeah, because here we need to add it as a function like this. So now when we add the to do, the next one will have the next one will be reset to empty string, so we can create something else here. Dada. Okay, perfect, perfect. We are doing progress. That's good. What else? What else should our to-do application have? We have the render list of tasks. We have add a new task, change the status of a task, maybe separate it into two tabs, the to-do and complete. Another thing, whenever we have things like this, with inputs and lists and so on, very important thing to keep in mind is handling the keyboard. Because if we're working with emulator, we do not see the keyboard, but usually the users using your application, they will have a keyboard. You can enable that using the emulator. How is it? Command K. And when this is happening, as you can see, I cannot see what I'm typing. And it also has this issue of a keyboard going away, which is also triggered by this issue of having a state and the component that uses it as two separate components. So let me go ahead and start by extracting our footer inside a separate component. A separate component that will have its own state, so it will not re-render when things change. I'm gonna go ahead in our components, day 15. Let's start with the new task input.tsx. Let's do React Native functional export, new task input. And here, instead of rendering this view, we're gonna bring all the list footer component. So this view will come to new task input. It will need some styles. Let's bring the styles as well. The bottom here. Let's go ahead and import the things that we need here. A text input. We need also the material icons. The value new task and set new task, these are the state variable. So we're gonna move it from the to-do screen inside this component. And that will solve the issue of losing focus of our text input. And we don't need the autofocus any longer. We need to import the style sheet from React Native. And what styles do we need? The task container and the input. task container we're gonna leave, everything else we're gonna delete, and we have an input here. Back in our, there is another, like the on-end editing will not work yet, so I'm gonna comment this out, and we're gonna think how to fix this issue. And I'm gonna go back to our to-do screen in order to finish the editing here as well. Now inside the list footer component, we can simply send here, we can simply render here the new task input. New task input. So now it's there, I can update it. As you can see, we don't lose access to this keyboard. I'm not sure why it's hiding. Yeah, if I'm using the keyboard, as you can see, I'm not losing access to it. If I'm using my PC keyboard, then it's hiding. But the problem is that now when we press enter, nothing happens. From the to-do screen, we're not gonna have the input styles any longer. That's going to be in a separate component. And in the new task here, what we should actually do is we need to send to that input a callback function on add that will receive, is going to be a function that will receive here the new to-do. And what it will do is it will simply set it in the tasks, append it at the end. So set tasks existing or current tasks. Then we're going to take the current tasks, destructure them in a new array, and at the end add the new to do. Now this on add, we need to go to the task input, take it from the properties, and call it instead of these set tasks. We need to call the function that we will receive on add with the new task, and the new task is just this object. Now I will remove it. So from the input, when we finish editing, we will basically emit or call a function that we receive through properties with this object, title new task is finished false. Now here we will see that when we receive that new to-do, we update it in the state and set it there. So now if I'm gonna press enter, exactly that task is going to be added to the state. And then I can manage them like this. Okay. We are also going to need a type for our tasks in order for us to easier manage like all the interaction between different components. At the moment, like we don't know what type this new to-do should be. So it's going to be really easier for us if we go ahead and export a default type, not export default type, but export type called task. And the task at the moment is made out of a title and is finished. So title, string, and is finished. Also a string, not a string, a boolean. Now having a type, we can type all our variables and make sure that we don't do mistakes. So this dummy task will be an array of tasks like this. And if for some reason I have a typo here, it will tell me that this is not okay. Another thing is that we can type our state variable with task array. This function, current task, it will be, not this one. Which one? On add, new to do should have a type of task, and only then we're going to be able to put it in the same array. Now back in our new task input here, on add, let's define the types of this new task input component. The type of this component is what properties does it expect? It expects a function on add. So let's type this function. How do we do that? Well, it's a function that probably returns void. It doesn't return anything, but it receives a parameter, an object, new task of type task. As you can see, it allows us to import it from our page so we can reuse the same type. Now let's simply properly type our properties with new task. And now when we look at the add, and also when we call it, it will be properly typed. For example, if I say is finished true, then it will say like, no, is finished should actually be a Boolean. So now our application is much more robust. And later when we have to change something, when we have to add more information to the task, we're gonna do it here, and TypeScript will tell us where do we need to do any changes, if that's required. Okay, so now we have a type, we have the ability to add stuff, but as I said, we started everything with handling the keyboard. So when I have this keyboard, as you will see, the content will go below the keyboard and I'm not going to be able to scroll to see it. This is a common issue in handling like inputs, and you need to be very careful with this, because in a lot of cases, like if it's very hard to see the input that you're typing, like that's a bad user experience. And this can be solved with a keyboard avoiding view, which have always given me a headache. I don't know, it's always something that is not properly working. But the simple concept is, if we put the content in a keyboard avoiding view, it will be aware when the keyboard is open, and it will shrink the view to be sure that the content actually is visible. So let's go ahead and import this keyboard avoiding view in our page, keyboard avoiding view, and let's wrap our, basically what should shrink as the keyboard appears. I think the whole page. So I will replace the view with a keyboard avoiding view for the root inside our to-do screen and see if it works. No, of course it doesn't, because it also needs a different behavior on iOS and Android. On iOS, it's going to work with padding. On Android, it's going to work with height. And we will also need the platform from React Native to decide these two things. Okay, still doesn't work. Styles container. And the container simply has a flex 1. Go to see, something is happening there, but I think it doesn't take into consideration the space at the top. Because now, like, it moves something, but it still needs like some extra spacing. Oh, come on. How to unlock it? Okay. So keyboard avoiding view, back to the documentation. How to react to the presence of a keyboard. Android and iOS both interact with this property different. On both iOS and Android, static behavior is recommended. Content container style. The style of a content container view when the behavior is positioned. Keyboard, this is the distance between the top of a user screen and the React Native view. Maybe non-zero in some use case. Yes, that's exactly what we need. There is some space from the top of our view to the top, from the top of the screen until this view. Because if I go to the page and do a, I don't know, a background color, I mean, you understand, like there is that header. So if I will do like, I don't know, 70 pixels, will that work? Not really. But how do we get the height of the React navigation header height? Something like I use header height. Probably I'm going to simply guess it. So 100 to do, yes, it's right at the bottom here. And also I see that the content of a flat list goes below the bottom notch. At the top, it's good that we have a header. Maybe if I'm gonna do header shown false, maybe in that situation I'm not gonna need a keyboard vertical offset and it will work. Yes, it works by default. Because now if it doesn't have a header, like the keyboard avoiding view will properly calculate how much should it move. But anyway, like our content, we need to render it into a safe area view in order not to render it behind the notches like here. So we're also going to need the safe area view, and we're going to render it around the flat list, I think. Safe area view, React Native safe area context around the flat list. Let's see. Yeah, now the flat list doesn't go behind the notch, and when doing it like this, yeah, it has some additional padding there. Let's only add a to-do when it's not empty, because at the moment we can add empty to-do lists. We can prevent that in the onAdd. We can check here. We can call the set tasks only if a new to-do, or no, maybe it's better in the input. On and editing. If new task is undefined, don't do anything. Otherwise, create it. So now if I'm gonna simply press enter here, nothing is gonna happen. It's gonna work only if I have some text and then press enter. Okay. What else? I don't like that our scroll indicator is here, but that's because our flat list is not taking the whole space. What we can do is I will remove from this page style, I'm gonna remove the padding. Now the flat list will take the full screen. The scroll indicator will be where it's supposed to be. And I will add some padding in the flat list content container style. And this will add only to the content, not to the other components as well. So padding 10 is going to be back to normal, but the scroll indicator will be all the way to the right. Nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to check out to day 15 end, because I want to do a commit, basic to-do list. Perfect. And then think about the next steps that we have to take. Good morning, Stuart. How are you doing? Okay. Anyway, there is not enough difference in style of a completed task and non-completed task. So how can we show that better? Here I don't see anything important. This one is different. So the text, the style of the text is also going to depend on, I want to change the color of the text based on the item finished. So if it's finished, it's going to be simply gray. Otherwise, it's going to be dim gray. And from task title, I'm going to remove it. Light gray. Okay, I think that's better. But for the color of this one, let's do it differently. Let's do it if item is finished. Maybe we can do a gray color, not a gray, but a green. Otherwise, dim gray, and here it should be the other way around, question mark and dots. Okay, now looks better. I'm not really sure about the dim gray. Yeah, let's do it like this. Cool. How do we delete items? I think a very common pattern to delete an item in a list is going to be either long pressing on the item and then delete, or swipe left to delete. If I'm not mistaken, there should be some library for this swipe left to delete, React Native. Or maybe we can do that directly with animation. Swipeable, I think. Swipeable from React Native gesture handler is exactly what we need, right? This component allows for implementing swipeable rows or similar interaction. It renders its children within a panable containers, allows for horizontal swiping left and right, while swiping one of two actions can be shown depending on whether we swipe left or right. Containers can be rendered by render left, and okay. Let's try that. We already have React Native gesture handler. Let's actually see in our package.json if we have this package gesture handler. Yes, we do. Version, we installed it recently. Let's import a swipeable component inside our, well, so far we are rendering like one item, one task. We are rendering it inside our screen, inside our to-do screen. Let's take this moment to extract the logic of rendering one item into its own component, because in that situation, our to-do screen will be much cleaner. And we're going to be able to continue adding feature easier. So in day 15, let's create a new one, task list item.tsx. And here I'm going to generate a simple component, task list item, where I will bring all the logic from our flat list render item. So starting with a pressable and all the way until the end. Let's move it to the task list item. A lot of things we will have to change. So let's go ahead and also bring all the inputs at the top. Let's bring all the inputs and replace it in our task list item. Let's also bring the styles from our page. These styles, I'm gonna bring all of them in our task list item and only keep the ones that we need. For example, we don't need anything about the page, but only task container and title. Nice. I can clean up a bit these components at the top that we don't need, like this. And the task list item will receive some properties. What properties does it need? Well, it needs the item that it has to render. So it will have a task of type task. This type, we can import it back from our screen where we define it here at the top. That has title and is finished. And besides a task, what else? On item pressed, should this logic happen here or should this logic happen in the screen? Well, at the moment, the logic on the on item press is actually working with the state that we keep in the screen. So we're going to have to pass this function from the to-do screen down to our task list item. And that's going to be the on item pressed, which is going to be a function. I'm not sure if we need to send any indexes from here. We're gonna see how we can take the index from the screen, not from inside the task list item. A task list item should not care like what index it is in a list. It should only care like, hey, I was pressed and that's it. And the list or anyone else who is rendering it will decide what it has to do. So it's gonna be a simple function that doesn't have any inputs and doesn't return anything. It only informs the above function that, hey, the item has been pressed. Now let's go ahead and get this task and the on item press from our properties. Come on, what's happening? Oh, I made a mistake here when defining the type. Task on item press. As I said, we don't need to send the index here. So as you can see, we can even simplify this one down to on press. Simply call the on item pressed function that we will receive through properties. Here, instead of item, we're gonna change to task to be more descriptive of what we are working with. Task, 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 task. And I don't see any other red errors here. That means we can go back to our to-do screen, and in the flat list for the render item, we will render a task list item, we need to send there the task, which is going to be the item that we receive when calling the render item function. So it's going to be one object from this array. But it's not ready yet because there is also this on item pressed. So on item pressed should receive a function with no parameters. But in this situation, like here, we know the index. So we can call simply the on item pressed by passing the index. And we're calling this function here. So in fact, when we actually press on one of these items, we are simply calling this on item pressed, which is an empty arrow, an arrow function with no parameters. But when this arrow function is being called, it will call the local on item pressed using the index. So now everything is working back to normal. Our to-do screen became a little bit more clean, and we can go ahead and even from the style remove some of the stuff like task container and task title. Yeah, now it looks better. We did that because we wanted to add some additional stuff to the task list item. We needed to add the swipeable component here. So let's try to first import the swipeable from React Native gesture handle swipeable. Let's wrap probably the whole component in swipeable. And as we can see from the documentation, it will also have render left action. Method that is expected to return an action panel that is going to be revealed from the left side. No, we need to the right. This map describes the values to use as render left actions. So if I'm gonna add here render left actions, which is going to be a component with maybe a view, and let's use an icon to delete. Am I importing anything here? Material community icons. Let's see if I can find in the material community icons the delete. Yes, I can find. So let's simply use this one to render it inside the swipeable right actions. I need to only import the view from React Native, and we are ready to go there and check our swipe. Yep. It appears very fast, but it works. So what I can do to this view, I can do a style, background color, crimson. I can do here some align items center. No, doesn't want. Flex direction. Row, if we're gonna need more of them. For the icon itself, gray. Gainsborough. 24, maybe 20 is going to be enough. And let's do some padding, free, and maybe padding No, padding vertical, well, I'm not gonna give anything, but only padding horizontal 10. So what does it have? Archive. But this on render or render left and right actions, they will also, this map describes the values to use as input range for extra interpolation, animated start value, progress animated value, and drag animated value. So this means that here we're going to receive some properties. Render right action. Yes, we're going to receive a progress and the drag. And also the drag animated value. And based on these values, we can animate also a little bit better how our component comes into play and how it lives. Because progress animated value. What can we do with that? Well, first of all, we're going to extract it into a separate component, const actions or write actions. That will return this view. We can render that view as write actions. And I'm going to also send here the progress animated value and maybe even this drag animated value. Let's receive them as a property. And I don't know, I can console log them, or I can define some dynamic styles using the animated styles equal use animated style from reanimated, and here we can provide some transforms. For example, I can, it should be an function that returns an object like this. So I will transform, maybe I will translate x minus 20, let's say, I don't know. And let's assign this style to our view animated.view. I need to also import the whole library as animated. And besides the static styles, we're also going to have animated style. That only adds the translate x. So if I go here to 15, what do we see? Translate x minus 20 will move it to the right. If it's 20, it's going to be moved there. And we need to do that based on the drag position, right? So drag animation value. Drag animation value dot Animated interpolation, animated interpolation. Can I import it? Animated. Progress, animate value. This map describes the value to use as input range for extra interpolation. Maybe I can see an example. Row, swipeable row, Apple style swipeable row. Let's have a look at the example from Apple style swipeable row. Animated text. What about Gmail? Button, unpress, close. Input range 080. Interpolate. Drag X. Animated dot interpolation. So we only need the drag X. Okay. Yeah, let's maybe focus on the drag X. It's animated dot number. Oh, this one is coming from actually React Native. Let's do React Native animated. So the type is React Native animated interpolation number. So scale, it was working with scale, but on Apple it works with, I think, transform. Translate X, yeah, it's going to be this drag X dot interpolate. So it's not drag X, but we need to do interpolate from React Native animated. The value that we will interpolate is what's going on? I'm a bit drag X. Maybe I can do it like them, and that's it. Let's try. And not drag X, but drag animated value. And why it doesn't work? Left side. Here. Okay. Let's see. to do. Value is not defined. String or number. So here we will do string or number. Use animated style. But it works with an animated one. So I'm gonna follow closer to here. So I'm gonna only work with animated from React Native. Maybe I don't need even like this reanimated. Let's call it animated here. Animated. We're not gonna have a use animated style. We're only gonna have a transform. Or yeah, let's do simply use animated style is going to be this equal to this one. Then we have animated view, animated style. Let's see if it will work this time. Okay, nothing is working, of course. Animated style. What's going on? Input range, output range. Maybe it should be more, 200. Oh boy. Drag X. Drag animated value dot interpolate. Oh, I see that we need to create an animated view. We cannot use simply animated view like this. Is that correct? Oh, now something. Minus 20. I don't think that the input range is correct here. If I look at the documentation of this swipeable, it's progress 0 and minus. Drag animated value. Zero and minus. So what if I'm gonna have simply minus 100. When it's 0, it's 50. When it's minus 100, it's 20. Where are they? Okay, I'm gonna spend a lot of time on this this simple thing, and it's because I wanted to do it myself. Not input rate must be monotonic, not decreasing. What? Oh, it should be minus 100 and then 0. I just need some action. Something. I see it working. So when it's minus 100, I want it to be maybe even 0. Okay. Minus 20, here 20. Should be more, like 40. When it's 0. And here at minus 40 to be 0. So that's going to be linearly. Yes, that's what I wanted. All right, now I like it. So now when we press on this material community icon, I want to add an onPress event. And what should happen when we call this onPress event? We will call some kind of a onDelete callback function that we're going to receive through properties in the write actions. OnDelete is going to be void. And we are going to also specify the type here, onDelete void. But in this situation, I don't need to define it. Void. Now, when we're rendering the write actions, what happened? Why I'm no longer rendering the write actions? Okay. Void like this. Now when rendering the write actions, we also need to send down there a function onDelete. This function, we still don't have it here because it's not gonna happen on the task list item, but a bit above. So let's simply pass it down from the task list item properties. Now the task list item properties, which I'm gonna bring them closer to our component here, they have another one onDelete. And again, it's going to be a simple function void. Now when we render the task list item, that's where we can integrate this onDelete. And here let's do delete based on the index. Delete task. And let's send there the index. Let's implement this function const delete index number. And what we're going to do is, let's do set tasks. Something like this, where we update the existing tasks by sending an update function. It will receive a current tasks. We're gonna change to updated tasks, and let's do return updated tasks dot splice will remove element from an array. And the start will be index, and the end and the delete count will be only one item. Now we're gonna return the updated tasks, or maybe we can return it like this. No, we cannot. So if I go to 15, go to do, if I'm gonna try to delete this one, I'm gonna press and it removes it. But for some reason, the next one will contain the menu open. Let me try to reload to see what's happening exactly there. Go to do. Yeah, for some reason, the next one has this title. Can it be because of a flat list that we don't have unique keys? I'm not sure why flat list doesn't complain about that, but what we can do is we can say key extractor, and from an item we're gonna take item dot title, and now all items have a unique key based on their title, and we got rid of that error. When we delete a status, the next one is not being added as deleted. As yeah, the menus are separate, working properly. Another thing that we can do is simply by adding some reanimated layout animations, we can improve how things look, especially when we remove items, how they change. With entering and exiting animation, we can have like some kind of fade in or something like that. Let me see what exactly I'm looking for. Shared entering layout transition. To be precise, position animation of component. Customize the animation. That's I think what I'm trying to do. Like when I delete, I want some transitions. Should we try this layout transition? Let's give it a try. We need to import it from React Reanimated. Choose an animated component which layout you want to animate. Layout transition. Customize the animation. Okay, so that means that our task list item, which now is swipeable, let's wrap it around reanimated. I'm going to actually import reanimated. It's a bit weird that I'm mix and matching like animated and reanimated, but let's do that. I'm gonna actually call it reanimated in this situation. And I also need that transition. Transition. Has no, did you mean to import transition from? Why it's not there? Transition. We're okay. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I will try to wrap the whole swipeable into another reanimated.view. Reanimated.view. Hopefully we didn't break anything. Yeah, still working. And for the layout, I'll give it transition. So now if I delete something, nothing changes. Where is the transition? Layout transition. A little bit outdated. This is version 1. I need in version 3. Transition. Curve transition, fading transition, share transition, jumping. Which one do we want? Entry, exit, sequenced. Let's try a jumping transition. I think it was just simply renamed to different types of transitions. Now if I'm gonna go to 14, go to notifications, no, to day 15. Go here. Now if I remove one of these tasks, still nothing happens. Linear. Let's try maybe a different one, a linear. Still doesn't want to work as I expect. Why? Task list item. Should I try? Should I try to wrap it around here? Well, for some reason, it doesn't want to work, and I don't know why. Can it be because of having the swipeable? What if we don't have a swipeable there? I'm gonna try to simply remove a swipeable and only leave a pressable. Now, oh, but I will not be able to delete. Maybe when I press, I will call on delete. Nothing changes. Yeah, even with that pressable. And I'm not very happy with that. Okay, but that's, yeah, probably not the most important part of our to-do application. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Maybe I'm gonna find out why it's not working later. Layout, curve transition. Can it maybe have a transition? Share transition, no. Okay, another thing that I wanted to do today is to work a little bit more with data management in order to maybe add like filtering, searching and stuff like that. What will we want to start with? Do we want to start with searching? We could do that. In order to accomplish that, we can add at the top a search bar that we can use. Either we can manually create a search bar at the top, like similarly to how we did this at the bottom, like a text input, or another way would be to actually use the header shown through, for the safe area view to say that we will only want the bottom edge to be handled by the safe area view. The title, we can change it to do maybe header back title, or header back title visible false, in order to have only the back button but without anything there, without any text. Now if I go here, yes, it's a to-do. And because Expo Router behind the scenes is using React Navigation, in React Navigation, specifically a stack screen, React Navigation stack screen. Let's look at the documentation of a stack screen, and we will see that a native stack will contain this search. Header search bar options. So let's go ahead in the options. Let's add here header search bar options. Now, if we scroll down a bit, we see that a search bar appears and we can type something. By providing here some options, what can we do here? Supported properties are described below. Auto capitalize, bar tint color, cancel button text. Do we have a cancel? Yeah. Disable back button override, hide navigation bar, hide when scrolling. That's good, because now if we're gonna scroll through these items, it should hide actually. Hide when scrolling through. to do. Now it appears. If I scroll, it disappears. Maybe this flat list needs some margin. Top 10. And especially when we actually do that. What? I'm not very happy with something here. The flat list only takes as much space as it needs, but I don't want that. I want it minimum full screen to be. So flex 1, no, doesn't like it. Min height auto, background color red. Safe area view style. Okay. Now the flat list doesn't need this one. Yeah, okay. So the solution was a safe area to have a flex 1, so that the safe area takes the full screen here. Yeah, perfect. Now I definitely need in this situation the height of a screen. To get height of a header, you can use header height context or use header height from React navigation elements. We can take the use header height in our screen. And what it will give us, the header height. Now using header height, we can change the padding. I don't think we're gonna be able to change here padding top 100. Working with padding here on a safe area view is not very smart. 300, but actually it adds. So can I do it as header height? Okay, anyway, let's, the styles are not like the perfects here. Probably we can like add like an animated style, like when this is going away to also go to the top. But yeah, I'm gonna do it like this. So what do we want to do when we search something here? Well, we will need access to that value. And we're gonna get it through this header search bar options. We can assign here on, let's do on change text. On change text, let's update a state variable. So we're gonna have a state variable for search query, set search query, use state initially empty string. When we update that one in the header, where is the header? On change text, we're gonna set search query. Maybe it needs the event, and then it will do search query e dot native event dot text. Let's try that. And what can we do with it? I will simply render a text at the top saying the search query. Okay. Now if I go to 15 here, go to do, text doesn't exist. I will have to import it from React Native. Go here. If I type something, we see it updated in the state and also there. Well, we don't need to render it on the screen. We actually need to filter our tasks based on the search query. So what can we do? We can add here the tasks that this will be all the tasks, but we can calculate the display task or filtered tasks equal. Let's go through all the tasks dot filter and only leave a task that matches our conditions. So for example, if there is a search query and if task.title. Let's transform the title to lowercase. Let's trim it to remove like white spaces from the bottom, from the ends. And let's check if it's equal to search query. And let's apply the same transforms to the text in order to provide a better experience of searching. You don't need to match the case and so on. So if there is a search query and the title is the same as this one, or maybe not even the same, but if it starts with, so let's do .trim starts with the thing that we are searching, or maybe even not starts with, but contains. There is a lot of things that we can do here. Contains, includes, right? So if this is true, let's return true here. Otherwise, no, I'm going to simply return this one. Return search query and this one. If search query, no, wait a second. There are two situations. When there is no search query, meaning that the user is not searching anything. In that situation, we want to render all the tasks. That means that we're going to return true in order to let the task inside this filtered. Here, there will be a search query, so we can return this value, return true if it matches and false if it doesn't. Perfect. Now we are going to use in the flat list, not tasks, but filtered tasks. Now if I will go to 15 here, go here, I'll be able to search, I don't know, change status. And as you can see, it correctly searches. And if I delete everything, it's going to render all of them because they will be added in that filtered. Perfect. Another thing is that we can also add a way to different filters. Like maybe we want only the to do or the completed one. So let's go ahead and add a way to change this status. Let's start with a UI. At the top, I want to render 3 buttons for new, all, to do, and completed. And then we're going to be able to move between them. So above the flat list, let's render a view with 3 buttons. Button React Native. The one will have a title all, then to do, and let's also do a completed or finished. We need to import the view from React Native. And this view, I already know that it will need a flex direction row. If I go to 15, I'll have 3 buttons there. The margin top, I will move it to this view. Let's justify content, space between, or maybe space around. Yes. Now, if I press on the all, I want to render all of them, to do only the ones left to do, and finished only the ones that are finished. So for that, we're going to have another filter. Similar to how we have like a search query there, let's have another state variable for the tab. Set tab equal use state. It's going to be initially all. I can define that this variable can only have these values all, to do, and finished. Now, based on this tab, well, we are going to update it in state whenever we press on these buttons. So when we press on all, let's set tab to all, and the same for others. Here, to do, and here, finished. Now, when we filter our items, we can check that. We can check what tab it is in. Filtered tasks. If the task dot is finished, and if tab is not all, let's do if tab is not to do, then this item will not get into the final batch, so return false. Because if we are looking at the tab to do, we don't want to see finished tasks. The same next one. We are trying to fail fast. Like when we are sure that an item will not be there, we can return quickly. Now, if the tab is finished, but the task is not finished, that means that the item will not be there. If it's all, we don't even have to check because all the items will be there. And then it applies the search query. So now if I press all, and to do finished. No. If we are on finished and the task is not finished, oh, my brain, to do. Oh, it's the other way around. If it's to do, keep them. If it's no, we need to exclude them if we are on to do and the task is finished. So we are on to do. If we are on, so it shouldn't be different. Yes. Now all shows all tasks. To do shows only the ones to do. Finished shows all of them. And if I'm going to change a couple of things here, they will automatically be updated here. So we can move from one to another. And the search will contain this, render, for example. We'll see these two. So search works on all the tabs at the same time. Okay, guys, so let's end it here. We have a quite good and basic to-do list application. We can see a list of tasks. We can add new tasks. We can mark them as complete and not. We can search them. We can look at different categories, all to do finished. We didn't manage to add categorization for projects based on the projects, but maybe we can do that tomorrow. Tomorrow I want to take this to the next level and to teach you how to use React context for all this data management. Because at the moment there is a lot of prop drilling. For example, the on delete, we are sending it from our screen, from the to-do screen. The on delete is being sent from here down to the task list through properties and from property to the right actions. So it's a lot of prop drilling. In order to avoid that, we're gonna use a global state management. For that, we're gonna use React context tomorrow, and later we are gonna use other libraries, and we're gonna see how we can improve the data management here. That's it. Come on, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you tomorrow during at the same time for another React Native tutorial. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going live every single day during December, and I have a lot more interesting projects prepared for you. So thank you everyone, and have a nice day ahead.